What happens when safety systems exist only on paper? When operators say all the right things to the regulators, but cut corners behind the scenes? In this episode, I'm peeling back the layers on safety culture in aviation and asking the tough questions. Is your operation as safe as it claims to be? I discuss all this and more coming right up. So strap in and let's get into it.
Gunbearer, good morning, 3614, Alpha Mallow 7 POB with altitude.
Coordinating, Halen, I'm running bank, balance, bank pressure rolling at 30 degrees. That's 30 degrees there.
Set by star 9000, 1013, KFI 25.
G'day everyone and welcome to episode 156 of the Flight Training Australia podcast. From float planes to helicopters, airliners to turboprops and everything else that flies, this is the podcast all about flight training and flying in Australia and beyond. Hi, my name's Trent Robinson, I'm your host, and welcome to another episode. I'm back in Darwin. Fantastic, 2 weeks away, almost didn't make it back. Little issue with my flight yesterday, but got on one today and had just the best time. So thanks to an awesome gift from my family. Went to Port Lincoln to dive with the great whites down at Neptune Islands, and just so epic. Just the best experience. Just what a machine of an animal. Just something to be respected and admired from a nice strong cage, of course. But it was just amazing. I chucked a couple of photos up for you all, but I know you're all about aeroplanes, not sharks. But it was just fantastic. So yeah, big thanks to the team down there at Calypso, Shark Cave Diving and all that down there is just amazing. And also out on the tour with the sea lions as well, the awesome Australian sea lions. If you've never swum with them before, just epic. And like 82% of the Australian population live along the South Australian coast there, and the other 18% across in WA. And I've had the privilege of swimming with them there as well at Carnac Island and the like. And they're just the most playful. They really are the puppy dogs of the sea. So much fun. If you ever get the opportunity to do it, definitely take up the opportunity to share the oceans with those amazing creatures. And then what else did I do? Down at Adelaide biplanes, caught up with the team down there, and Carl took me out to do my float plane endorsement. So if you're not aware, in Australia we have seaplanes are basically split up into the two types. So we've got the floats, which is like the pontoons under each where the wheels would be normally, and then the floating hull, which is the body section of the aircraft. The fuselage is the actual part that floats, like the Mallard and the Buccaneer. And then the float plane, like the Caravans, and in my case, the Piper Super Cub. It was just so much fun, buzzing all down around Finnis River and High Marsh Island down in South Australia there. Get lost where I am. Down in South Australia, and just, yeah, so much fun, learnt heaps, and it was really great just to see the differences with the two endorsements. There are a few, a lot of things are similar, but obviously found it a lot easier with reading the water and what was going on there. But yeah, just great fun, and really look forward to utilising that and consolidating that learning later on. Then across to Perth, and had good fun flying in the Cirrus there with Nathan from Calberry Air Charter, and hopefully they're not getting another cyclone at the moment. But as part of all the check and training processes, we're working on getting everything ready. We ran out of time, but he's going to finish it off with the guys at Revesco, and Hubert's going to look after him there. So that was all done, and yeah, went and saw Airflight, sat in on one of their Learn to Fly sessions, and talked to some people there, and the Aero Club, and Parks and Wildlife, caught up with the head of operations there, and just to, get a real good feel for what's going on down in Jandakot at the moment, both from the charter side and the flight training side. And I'll definitely talk to you all about that in more detail. But running out of time if I'm going to try and do that today. But obviously, if you've been watching the news again, you know I signed off or opened last episode with just accidents, and no sooner had I said that we just had another tragic accident off Rottnest in WA with the caravan crashing, and the team at Swan Seaplanes. Again, I send my heartfelt condolences to everybody there and everyone in the seaplane community. It's, again, it's just horrible to see an aeroplane crashing like that, and all the sadness and what happened and why, and all those questions, which we will get in time once ATSB finish their investigations. But it does open up the discussion, and again, not for now, but another time. But the ability of the ATSB to investigate accidents and report on them, but obviously with the funding and all the issues there, they're not looking into RAOS style accidents and light sports. And yet another crash, this time up here in the NT again while I was away, a lot closer to home. Aircraft out of MKT crashed in Fog Dam, which is somewhere very familiar to all of us. It's a beautiful spot. And again, may well not really know what happened. Fortunately, the passenger survived. Sadly, the pilot was killed. And again, heartfelt condolences to all that knew him and all his family and colleagues. But hopefully she can shed some light on what maybe happened, and we can find out what we can do to spread the safety message, because we've got to stop these accidents, guys. We are losing too many people. I saw an ABC report saying that there were 20 fatal accidents last year across the board with fixed wing and rotary and everything else, and 27 fatalities, which is just too many. So I don't really care if it's reducing from previous years or anything else. It's just too many. And I know a lot of you have messaged me what's going on with the start of 2025. We've just had so many accidents already, and we really want to stem that and stop that. So part of that process is, I guess, linking into what I want to talk about today, to just keep this sort of safety message going. And that is talking about the safety culture in flying operations. So we all have ops manuals. If you're a private pilot, you know the safety messages that are drummed to you. But from a commercial standpoint and what's going on in the operational side of things, whether it's airline or charter operations, 135, low capacity or high capacity, we have operations manuals, we have standard operating procedures, safety management systems, check flights, all these things. These frameworks are the backbone of how we're supposed to operate and what's meant to keep us all safe. So they provide clarity, ensure consistency, and most importantly, move towards protecting lives and learning from past mistakes of others. All right, but what happens when these systems aren't really supported? They're just written, but they're not followed, and they're not enforced by either the organisation itself or the regulator. What happens when an organisation says all the right things on paper, but does the opposite in practice? Right, so I really want to try and discuss that disconnect and why that's so dangerous, or how it can be dangerous, and how it can mislead regulators through audits and things, and what we can do to foster a better safety outcome or in that culture in flying operations. I've been to several seminars now where CASA we've been talking about just culture and safety management systems, but CASA have admitted that it currently lacks the means to measure the safety culture and operators effectively. So let's have a look at what we can do to bridge this gap, us as individuals, us as organisations, and how we can ensure that safety remains the priority, not just in words, but in actions. So the reality of aviation oversight is that CASA has a role. It is the regulator, and it is there to ensure safety compliance across the industry. But even CASA acknowledges that assessing the true safety culture of an operator is extremely challenging. Why? Well, because safety culture is intangible. It's not just about having the right documents, all the right words, and everything all on the shelf or online and passing audits. Right? It's deeper than that. It's about the behaviors and the attitudes and the values embedded in daily operations by the operations team, by management, by engineering, by the pilots. So this creates a bit of a loophole for some operators to pull the wool over the regulator's eyes, if you want to say that. They might present an immaculate set of manuals and pass all the formal inspections, but behind the scenes, shortcuts are being taken, pilots are being put under pressure, engineers are being put under pressure, and ultimately safety is compromised. The say one thing, do another approach, it's not just annoying, it can have catastrophic consequences. And this, in a way, leads into, again, a message I get every now and then is, how is it that us pilots or students even know that some operators out there aren't doing the right thing or what we would commonly call a bit dodgy, and CASA doesn't seem to do anything about it? And I think that's very much part of the process is they don't have the means to do so. And often, as we'll talk about shortly, that people aren't willing to speak up. So what are some of the tangible consequences of a poor safety culture? Well, obviously, the most increased risk of accidents and incidents has got to be up there. But that's not just all. All right, if we have a safe or poor safety culture, it can lead to reduced trust within the team. Pilots, engineers, ground staff will start to lose confidence in the leadership when they see safety guidelines ignored, rules bent, and putting pressure on pilots and crew, engineering, whatever, to ignore these or to push the limits a bit. We start getting to have higher turnover rates. All right, if a company is doing a good job looking after everybody and is practicing what it's preaching, then it tends to retain its staff. Otherwise, people leave when they're not feeling protected, respected, and safe. It can do reputational damage. Operators with a history of safety issues struggle to attract business, contracts, partners, and tend to have the regulator on their back a bit. Right, if we look at various accidents throughout the ATSB history, there's a lot there that reveal lapses in adherence to standard operating procedures, decision-making processes, and adherence to the rules and regulations. Those reports will usually stress that safety culture isn't just about individuals following rules. It's about creating an environment where the rules are seen as essential, not optional. And that's a really important thing. We can't just put the rules there when they suit us and bend them when they don't. We've all been faced with that. Right? We have to make those decisions as ourselves and accept the consequences. So how can we build and maintain a better, truer safety culture? How do we make sure it's not just a buzzword? Because safety culture is certainly at risk of that. Everyone talks safety. Oh, we want to be safe. We're going to do that. We're going to do this. But it goes in the manual and then sits on the shelf. Ultimately, it needs to start with good, strong leadership, be it through the ownership of the company, the management, the head of operations, the head of flying ops, the operations team, the head of maintenance. The behavior and the attitudes of the senior management set the tone for the whole organization. If leaders start cutting corners, prioritizing profits over safety, that attitude will trickle down to the front lines, and people will either accept it or not. So some things we need to do is truly lead by example. Leaders should visibly prioritize safety in every decision and action, whether it's assessing the weather to go or not go, weight and balance, and whether we keep it under the MTOW or not, adhering to the rules when flying. These are all things that we need to see. It's a monkey see, monkey do world out there. And this is something I impress on those that I fly with when I'm doing instructor training, check-in training processes as well, that I need to follow the rules. I need to uphold the law. If I'm seen out there doing stupid things, and not even necessarily stupid things, but just breaking the law, then what? How does that make me look? And if I start trying to say one thing and do another, people will lose respect, and it can't be done. Got to pick one. We need to promote accountability. Everyone, again, from the senior pilots to ground staff, need to be accountable for upholding the safety standards and support those who speak out and say something to point out when something isn't right. We need to continue investing in training, regular sessions on safety management systems, emergency procedures, human factors. All keep safety knowledge fresh and relevant. We want to encourage open communication. Creating a just culture is not another buzzword, but it needs to be where staff can feel safe reporting errors and concerns without fear of retribution. ATSB has repeatedly highlighted the value of voluntary reporting systems in identifying risks before they escalate. It's what safety management systems are for. Reporting incidents, accidents, hazards in the workplace, all these things. But a just culture needs to be that. Someone cannot be penalized, humiliated, mocked, or not given shifts or ignored, whatever else it is, for trying to do the right thing. We need to be responsible, and professional companies will do that. It doesn't matter who we are. There's no time for egos. We can miss things sometimes. Sometimes it's very innocent, right? But it needs to be listened to and actioned. And making safety systems as practical as possible. It's all very easy to just make a manual that sits on the shelf collecting dust with all these procedures and policies that are potentially just impossible to actually practically adhere to and follow. They need to be user-friendly, accessible, and integrated into our daily operations. And the way to do this and check all this is working and functional is either line safety audits, which are known as LOSA, or as we're moving into part 135 operations and 121, that we're starting to do operator proficiency checks. And this is just simply where an audit or a line check chaining captain will observe a real world operation of you just flying, doing your job as you would any other day. Your weight and balance, your flight planning, your flight itself, to identify any deviations from the SOPs and then find ways to address them. Now, what about our regulator, CASA, and other regulators out there in the world? What is their role? Well, we need to move beyond compliance checklists. While documentation and audits are essential, if they're not done in full or properly, they're meaningless, and they don't paint the full picture of an operator's safety culture. Now, a lot of it will be, show me this document, show me that document. And as long as it meets the pro forma and the layout, then you get a tick in the box. All right? But that's not telling you necessarily what's going on in that company. So maybe a few ideas that CASA could consider and other regulators out there to really make some headway into this. Anonymous surveys. All right? Gathering feedback from employees can reveal real hidden issues within an organization's safety culture. And I know this has been attempted to happen in the past, but people need to feel comfortable that if they do speak up, they will be having their privacy and identity respected and followed up. Yes, there is an issue with bitter, disgruntled employees making trouble, and anonymous reports are very hard for the regulator to action. I totally understand that. They really need a face and a name to it so they can verify the claims are true, because just as much as an employee has rights, so does an operator. But gathering information, talking to employees is really, really important, because that will say that, yes, we are doing these things, or no, that's what's in the manual, but this is what really goes on. The operational audits, they're very prepared. We get told when they're going to happen, but again, no one wants to feel threatened or challenged. But if we're all doing the right thing, we shouldn't have too much to worry about. Unannounced inspections can provide a more accurate snapshot of how safety protocols are being implemented day to day. And ramp checks are a form of that. They're on the spot. You don't necessarily know they're there. Word spreads pretty quick once they are, but it will tell you what to do. But again, if you're doing your job, if you're preparing paperwork for the flight, there shouldn't be anything to worry about. And collaborative initiatives, partnering with other operators to conduct joint safety workshops and training programs, spread the cost amongst a couple of operators instead of everybody doing the same thing individually. And the wet season seminar was a great example of that, where a bunch of operators supported me to put this together, chucked in some money for all the food and everything else, and everybody benefited. It's another way, if you have that opportunity as well, to conduct individual independent audits on each other, so that you're not looking at it through your own eyes. And again, not to point blame, but to identify things so they can be fixed. No one's perfect. So as professionals in the industry, we have a role to play. We must all hold ourselves accountable, our organizations accountable, and we need to feel comfortable and safe to speak up when we see safety being compromised. Being an advocate for better practices, even if it means challenging the status quo. All right, so here's my challenge to you all listening. I want you to take a moment to reflect on the safety culture in your own organization or operation. Whether you're a private pilot, have a look at the way you do things. All right, if you're an organization, are the manuals, the SOPs, the SMS, are they up to date? Do they reflect what you actually do? Or are they outdated and need updating? Are they properly supported, followed, and enforced? Or are they just words on a piece of paper to satisfy the regulator? Remember, safety culture isn't about what we say, it's about what we do. Every single day, every single flight. It's about creating an environment where safety is the foundation of every decision, not an afterthought. As always, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the topic. Feel free to reach out to me, info@flighttrainingaustralia.com.au. You can also message me on any of the socials and share your experiences together. We can continue to build an industry that truly prioritizes safety above all else and make sure that each and every one of us goes home after every flight. All right, guys, thank you for joining me. It's great to be back. I look forward to talking to you all next week and hearing your feedback on that. Remember, you can jump on Spotify now and leave comments. You can ask questions, and also Apple Podcasts. Please feel free to leave a review and 5 stars, remember, and leave your thoughts on the podcast and how it's helping you. It was great to meet a bunch of fans down in Perth and hear their stories and what they've been doing, and I know the podcast is helpful to everybody. If there's anything you want me to talk about, anything you want me to cover, please message me, let me know, and I'll do something about it very, very soon. All right, guys, I'll have a bit of an announcement next week on something very exciting happening, but in the meantime, please look after each other, be safe, blue skies, and remember the golden rule. Aviate, navigate, communicate. Cheers, everyone.